one of the fundamental frameworks of personal development is something called CSBR. And what is CSBR? CSBR stands for C, which stands for conditioning. S stands for state. B stands for behavior. And R stands for result. So how is this framework used? So most people in their life, they have things that they are not happy about. And usually it might be relationship, it might be their business, it might be the amount of money they make, it might be the health they have. And these things are always a fruit of the things they have done in their life. Okay, let me explain to you this concept. What does it mean by fruit? Fruit means it's usually the result of things they have done. Okay, and if you're not happy with your financial condition, it's usually because of the actions that you have taken. So when you change the actions you have taken, when you change the strategies you take, the result, which is the fruit, changes. So R, the result, the fruit, comes at the last of the CSBR. So how do you change your result? How do you see and change things in the real world, which is the fruit or the result? Is by changing your behavior. And most people say, oh, I'm not able to change my behavior. And how do you change your behavior is by changing your state. And how is your state determined? The state is determined by your conditioning. Okay, so when you go to the root of your conditioning is anything that you have learned when you're a child, from your society, from your parents, from your friends, from your peers, from your employers. Literally everything is conditioning. So as soon as you change your conditioning, your state changes and your behavior changes and your results changes. Example, I'll give you an example. Suppose we are conditioned to feel that a lion is a dangerous thing. Okay, a lion is definitely a dangerous thing, but just imagine that we are conditioned to feel that lion is a dangerous thing in our mind. So what happens when we see a lion? When we see a lion, we know the conditioning that it's a dangerous thing, and then our state changes. So we become in a fearful state, and then what happens to our behavior? We would not be, standing there cool. Our behavior changes and the result also changes. So what happens? We run and then we escape the lion. Just imagine if somebody is conditioned to see that the lion is a safe thing, and they have never experienced a lion, but in their mind, a lion is just a four-legged animal and it's just standing there. If they are conditioned in that way, what happens to their state? Their state doesn't change. They're not in a fearful state. They're just standing and seeing casually the lion. They've not seen a lion before, but they've seen animals before. So they feel that it's just a four-legged animal, right? They do not have that reference in their mind. They do not have that conditioning in their mind. So as a result, their state doesn't change. And as a result, they do not run away from that lion. And then the result changes. Obviously, if the lion is super hungry, it might attack the person and eat him up alive. So this is how the CSBR works. And literally, the lion's example is just a very simple example to explain to you. For example, we can also say something like a real life example, like somebody is conditioned in their mind that people make fun of them. Okay, so what happens when they go on stage? When they go on stage, they're conditioned that people make fun of them, and they feel the state. They feel a different state, because they're feeling that everybody is making fun of them, and their state changes, and they've become in a fearful state. And then what happens to their behavior? The body language changes as part of the state. So their body language changes. So the behavior, the conditioning influences their state, and then it influences the behavior, and then it influences the outcome, the fruit, the result, which is they wouldn't have a good experience when they are on stage. So this is how CSBR works, and it's a very useful framework for people to understand why their results doesn't change in the real world.